I'm no contact with my parents because they never wanted me. But my fiancé wants to invite them to our wedding, so I'm insisting that no wedding will happen if they're coming. My father left our family and went no contact when I, 35 male, was 4 years old. My mother remarried and had 2 children with my stepfather. My stepfather never treated me poorly, but he always made it clear that he wasn't my dad. My mother never tried to fix our relationship and honestly loved her new family. She always seemed to see me as a burden. At least that's what I believed until it was confirmed after my freshman year of college, when my mother asked me not to come home anymore. I blocked her after that phone call, and I've had no contact with her or my stepfather and half-brother since then. I still speak to my half-sister, 25 female, at her insistence, but that's my only connection to them. It took me a long time to come to terms with being essentially kicked out of my family. I became quite independent and thought I'd live alone until I met my fiancée, Elena, 28 female, 4 years ago. We've had a great relationship and her family welcomed me with open arms. She comes from a pretty typical suburban family and they're wonderful. Over the years, I've shared my issues with my family with her, and she's met my sister. Elena never pushed for more. Until we started planning our wedding. When we began discussing the guest list, I mentioned friends from college and coworkers. Elena kept suggesting I invite my parents. At first, I thought she was just trying to gauge my feelings on the matter. I told her I wouldn't be inviting my parents, and she seemed to accept that. But then she brought it up again the next day. I calmly explained how much they had hurt me, how growing up feeling unwanted and having it confirmed at 19 severely impacted my mental health. I explained that over the years, I've realized it's their issue to resolve, not mine. If they ever want to fix things, they can initiate contact. I'm in touch with my sister, and it's clear their content pretending I don't exist. It's painful, but it's their problem, and I can't be the one to solve it. I thought that settled it, but she brought it up 2 more times. The last instance was last night when we were about to start on the save the dates. She said, "Are you sure you don't want to invite your parents?" "I feel like I might just invite them on my side," I snapped. I told her we should probably throw the invitations away because if she couldn't respect what I've been through, I didn't want to marry her. I then went to our bedroom to fume. She tried to talk to me, but I walked out, grabbed my keys, and left. I came back around 11 p.m. after spending time with friends and slept on the couch. She left for work without a word this morning, and I don't know where we stand. Her behavior was unacceptable, but I'm questioning if I went too far. What do you all think? Did I go too far? Update I. 1. I'm overwhelmed by the thoughtful responses. Thank you to everyone who took the time to reply. Here's an update. My fiancé usually gets home around 5:30 p.m., so after work, I work from home. I waited for her. I got worried when it was 6 p.m. and she still wasn't home. But around 6:15 p.m., she showed up with my sister, which was a big surprise. While my sister and I connect every Thursday, we live 45 minutes apart, so her showing up was unusual. They both looked anxious, and I was confused. I asked what was going on, and my sister burst into tears, apologizing profusely. After 5 minutes of sobbing, she started talking about the family. Apparently, when she told my mother and Nathan that I got engaged, it caused a rift between them. Not because they cared about me, but because my half-brother, to 7 male, is still living at home, single and without a steady job. If you're thinking, wow, they kicked you out at 19 but let him stay past the age of renting a car, don't worry, I said that out loud. My mother apparently wants to do the same to my half-brother, but Nathan won't allow it, so they are currently separated, with my mother living with family and refusing to return until my half-brother is out of the house. For some reason beyond logic, my sister thinks that inviting my family to my wedding will bring them back together, since my engagement supposedly caused the rift. At this point, I lost it. I told her my engagement had nothing to do with it, that their terrible parenting and poor relationship skills were the cause, and she shouldn't put that on me. She cried even harder, but this time I didn't console her. My fiancé sat there quietly while my sister tried to compose herself. Then I questioned my fiancé. She teared up as well and admitted my sister had told her that I always bring up the family during our Thursday calls, and that deep down, I wanted to repair the relationship. I asked how she could believe that when I've been very clear that I'm no contact with my family and never expressed a desire to reconnect. I told her I share everything with her and would never hold back something like this. She's always been my sounding board. When I switched jobs last year, We discussed it every night, and her advice mattered more than anyone else's. She apologized and then showed me her phone, specifically the messages between her and my sister. At this point, my sister pleaded with her not to show me, but my fiancé insisted, saying she was trying to save our relationship. My sister had been lying about our Thursday conversations, claiming I always talked about reconciling, how I was partly at fault, and how I secretly wanted to see them again. Every time I told my fiancé no, my sister would text her, saying I just couldn't be open because I was embarrassed. It was all completely false. I would be perfectly happy never seeing any of them again. I couldn't believe my sister was still in contact with them. I told my half-sister to leave and canceled our Thursday calls. She put up a bit of a fight, but I ignored her until she left. She kept apologizing, but honestly, I'm done with her. I've blocked her and will be no contact with her for the time being. It was a complete betrayal of my feelings and trust. As for my fiancé and me, I'm still very upset. She went behind my back with my sister, never asked me about it, let my sister manipulate her and hurt me deeply. I told her I love her, but my trust in her is broken. We've agreed to go to couples therapy and see if we can repair the relationship. I hope we can, but it's a toss-up for me. She's got a lot of work to do. Update 2. A lot has happened, so I'll try to spill it all out, in order. After my sister left, I told my fiancé that I loved her, but I didn't trust her. At that moment, I felt she took my sister's side instead of mine, so I continued to sleep on the couch for a couple of nights. She was walking on eggshells around me, and I hated it, but I just wasn't ready to forgive her. Then Friday night, after hanging out with friends, I came home and crashed on the couch. We had a harmless conversation, but she did ask me to come to bed, and I told her I wasn't ready. I woke up at 3:00 a.m. to use the bathroom and found her sleeping on the floor next to me. For some reason, that touched me deeply, and I cried a little. It meant so much that she wanted to be near me even when I was being distant. It really changed things for me. I woke up a few hours later to her making breakfast, which was a surprise since Saturday is usually my day to make a big breakfast. We sat down to eat, and she kept the conversation light. Still on eggshells, but I decided to tell her a story from my childhood. I told her how Nathan used to make breakfast for the family but never included me. I was older, so I'd sleep in, and when I got up, there was rarely any breakfast left. If there was, it was in the fridge and no one would eat with me. I told her how much our Saturday brunch is mean to me and how I had never really talked about it, which wasn't fair to her. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. She apologized again, but I told her I didn't need it. I forgave her, but I still want to do couples therapy because I think it will help me express my family issues in a healthy way. I'm ready to send out the save the dates. I then asked her to massage my back because the couch was a nightmare to sleep on and she knew I was serious. I'm not usually comfortable with physical touch except with her, and I hadn't allowed it since the original incident. I know most of you didn't want me to forgive my fiancé, but I love her and she loves me. She made a huge mistake, but she's never experienced anything like what I went through, and she showed genuine remorse. As for my sister, my mother reached out through a number I didn't recognize, telling me I should forgive my sister. I told her to screw off. This just confirmed that my sister never really had a relationship with me, because if she knew me, she'd know that contact with my mother would only make things worse. I blocked the number. This happened Thursday evening. My sister tried to come by on Sunday, but my fiancé and I were out. She left a note apologizing and saying she didn't ask my mother to contact me and was sorry she did that. My fiancé wants nothing to do with my sister anymore, but left the decision up to me. I told her that she's my family, so if she didn't want her there, she wouldn't be there. A little jab, but she took it well and said she didn't want her there. We're getting back to normal. It will still take time, and I think I may try individual therapy. As I reflect on all the incidents, I'm starting to realize that the family situation might be worse than I've acknowledged, and it might be time to really deal with it. The save the dates were sent out yesterday and everything is still on. I won't update again, but thank you all for letting me process and vent.